I hope you know that I am homeless. I'm about to receive food between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Later on in the afternoon. And it is too much karma for me to tell you that I don't have the rent receipt in front of me from that somebody paid the rent for myself and that somebody else threatened to knock on the door and tell me if the rent was not paid. That means I didn't pay the rent myself since this landlord was here, Jerry. I never paid Jerry, the landlord. I paid the one before Jerry, which was Shonda Novice. And I stopped paying Shonda Novice, and she's not here anymore. Yeah, but I don't know exactly how she's not here anymore, but she's not here. And so I didn't pay Jerry. Jerry was a new landlord, but I already had the key from Shonda. And I didn't pay Jerry because why was Jerry being paid rent if she didn't give me the key to the apartment? The other one left, and this one, does she have a copy of the key? She said she has a copy of the key here, but all she does is has to knock on the door or put a notice on the door or call the police and tell me to get out, and I have to leave. So Charles Toe was paying rent checks to Jerry and bringing back rent receipts and hanging them on the refrigerator. And I'm not allowed to be here if Charles Toe doesn't pay a rent check, get a rent receipt, and hang the receipt on the refrigerator in here. And he stays here. Why doesn't he stay elsewhere if he's the one paying the rent? The Social Security Administration appointed money to Charles Toe, and I don't know why. Why does anybody get Social Security if they're not over the age of 67 years old and retired, and that they don't work is why they get money from Social Security? Because Charles Toe retired, and he got money from Social Security when I was retired because I had leverage on myself not to work. I had a boss who didn't pay out keys to myself, and I got fired off the payroll because I didn't have the keys that were to go with the payroll. He didn't give me payroll and keys together, and I did apply with an address, but I reported during the interview that I was homeless. I reported that I had made a divorce and I don't have keys that way. So that's where I was living, was alive that way, that I was still living with Charles Toe with the divorce papers from the courthouse, and I didn't get keys from John Dorweiler or from anyone who worked at El Cortez or anyone who was related to that. I was working at El Cortez. And there's somebody named Terrence Robinson who's somebody who knows Charles Toe. He came by the apartment while I was working at El Cortez with somebody named Rory. And I don't know Rory. Her last name could possibly be Thompson, but I don't know that. If it's Rory Thompson or if she has no last name, is she Rory and she's a legal alive shunt and she didn't have a last name at the time I met her? It's possible that she just didn't have a last name. So she came into the apartment like a guest. Yeah, but it's an apartment. I didn't have a nice house to invite Rory in and let her be seated in a living room or something like that in front of a TV. Yeah, I didn't have a nice place. The apartment is really like just for me, and Charles Toe is in there. So then Terrence came in and Rory came in, and there were 4 people in a 1-bedroom apartment, and there was no place to be seated. Terrence was standing, if I'm not mistaken, in my memory. Terrence did not sit down. I was standing. Yeah, I was standing. That too. But so what did Rory want? Because that's no way to have a guest in the apartment. And I don't know her last name. So what was she doing? What did she have to say to me about working at El Cortez? Because now it sort of looks like she owed me a house. But she wouldn't give me a house for free because you don't just give out a house for free. She might be a realtor or a law firm that would take a retainer for the house and mortgage payments for the house or a very large lump sum of maybe some $2 million, which I wasn't getting as a front desk clerk at El Cortez. So there was no reason for me to be that someone would be in where I was staying, sleeping, for to know about a house key that I would pay money on from employment money, which was disclosed as being $9 an hour. So she didn't even bring up the subject of that she had a house keys, or that she was going to give out a house for free, because she got a house somehow because I was working. And I don't make the keys. I need the leverage. I need the leverage that you're paying out the house to myself as God. But I didn't. In this case, I was working at El Cortez Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it was the year 2005, 2006, right in there, the end of 2005, the middle of 2005 through the middle of 2006. So she was somewhere in during that time in the apartment, not offering me anything. Like what? Because I also didn't open the door for her myself alone. Charles Toe was there to open the door. And so she's there to see Charles Toe or to see myself, because it sounded like she was there to see Terrence. And Terrence has a gun. So, of course, how can I help myself? Because is Terrence there to see Terrence, and Rory is there to see Terrence, and Terrence has a gun, and I don't actually know how to help you with your disputes, that this might have had nothing to do with me. And I still think that El Cortez might have made it possible for the payroll to be moving, and I know about this, Rory, and I didn't get anything out of her being in the apartment, when that really makes me completely homeless with the payroll moving. That means somebody owed me payroll keys. Payroll and keys go together. And I just never got offered the keys. The way I was offered the payroll was $9 an hour. I didn't determine that. That was not, I didn't say to John Dorweiler, I need to work for El Cortez for $9 an hour. No, I did not say that. That's not alive that way. He offered me the salary. That's what they could afford to pay me from the hotel casino payroll department. So how do you get a key that way, right? I don't actually have that. Somebody gave me a key the way that I got payroll, and I had to leave the state of Nevada because this Rory Thompson and Terrence Robinson had a gun, knew I was working at El Cortez because I told them that I was working there. So that's the gun pointed right at myself. So what is Rory doing in my apartment? And this is what she did. She sat down at the table and she put her head in her hands like this, but I wasn't sitting there. There were two seats at the table, one for Charles Toe, one for myself, and Rory Thompson was sitting down. I was standing up. I think Charles Toe was where, I don't remember that part, and I think Terrence was standing up. And so this is Rory at the table like this, like she had a problem and she wouldn't say exactly what it was. And then I never saw her again after she left that day. Yeah, I don't actually know what she was going to do. What was that having to do with me being there? It had to be because I went out of the state of Nevada about some months after that. Because the payroll didn't work out for me. I got fired. I didn't actually wait for someone to terminate the payroll. I turned off the payroll because I find that I got fired, and I went out of state. Who fired me? It was approximately Bill Glass, and he didn't hire me. Yeah, and he's not one of the, what do you call it, administration. They have I can't say, John Dorweiler's people having to do with management. It wasn't a management who fired me. It was Bill Glass. He said something mean to me, like he did maintenance at the time. Like you would call him if you needed a new light bulb, he would come and fix the light bulb, or he would fix any kind of plumbing problem and he was doing maintenance for the hotel. And he said something mean to me, and I quit because you're not supposed to talk to me like that. And I find that's me fired from El Cortez. They don't really have the money for me to be there happy anymore, like I was happy when I left, but I can't stay on there and have some kind of problem with somebody. I didn't have one, so I just left on time. I have my Dreamweaver who told me that Bill Glass was threatening to follow me home to the housing where I was living and fight with that I wasn't alone there in the housing. And then if I was alone, that's another matter. I would have had to quit anyway. It's true that he was just not giving me confirmation that I was in good standing with my rent being paid and for me getting payroll at El Cortez. It just didn't all work out. In my Dreamweaver, was showing me that Bill Glass was threatening to walk with me back to the apartment or follow me on the path back to the apartment and find Charles Toe in there and fight with Charles Toe that he needs to not be in the apartment and I need to not be in there so Bill Glass can have the apartment or have it empty. So that's shutting off payroll, so then you don't have a place to stay and sleep while I'm employed at El Cortez and I get payroll for food. And for rent, I was paying rent as well, and he's not involved in the receiving of the landlording rent check. He's an additional landlord, which means my landlord is loitering, and they won't move the rent money. They're approximately embezzling the money. That's what I find with my Dreamweaver, that my rent money was embezzled, and it caused me to dream in the apartment. Yeah, so. I'm saying that as Dreamweaver and Dreamer is deceased right here, I'm speaking, and I don't have karma to say that it's homeless and karma to be in apartment paying extortion. I don't find that I owed it. You can't just say, you have a key to someplace, we're threatening to tell you that you have to give the key to us and get out of an apartment, and they're going to rent it to somebody else, and I don't know if the next tenant is going to pay rent. They're going to do renovations on the apartment with the rent money that they receive from myself, and they're going to put in a new tenant there who's going to be damages to the apartment if they pay or don't pay the rent. I don't know that the landlording is to be trusted that they tell everybody to get out. Is everybody paying rent? If I live in an apartment complex with 40 units apartments, are they all paying the same, let's say, $460 a month rent? That's what it was at the time of El Cortez. Is every unit, everyone that's occupied, and then they have vacant units that nobody's paying rent on, and that's to be accepted? That you don't just charge the bank that you have vacant units, and the bank has to give you money because you don't want to tell people to get out of the bank because you're moving the money. What is the money for other than cash? Because I'm finding that you are doing embezzlement of the money because I don't have the money to pay the rent, and you want me to pay it anyway, and that means you're doing something with the cash that is against that it is charged for the space square footage. That means you charge for that, I'm in the square footage, but you don't insure the square footage with the money. You embezzle the money and spend it on the office expenses for what it costs for you to be there to charge the rent money. And that doesn't math out for me. I don't actually owe the money that way. And I am deceased here out of the formed world and the door locking and threatening. It's disclosed by myself that the rent money embezzlement is causing that I cannot get creation deceased that way either. And I'm right now owing rent, still owing it for July 1st, and today's July 5th. And it's a Saturday, so the office might be closed. Sunday, the office will be closed. Monday is when the rent would be, the late payment would be due on this, so that'd be July 7th, 2025. And I don't have the money. I just don't have it at this time. The Social Security Administration did cause a death by trying to pay the rent money that they weren't going to let me have it for myself. I can't have it. If somebody charges me the money, I have to give it up. Just somebody, because you should see how there's somebody in the office who thinks that they're getting the rent money, but I have other landlords who charge me whatever it is. They may want the whole apartment empty. So that's what's wrong with the landlord in the office asking for the rent money. They don't have it secured that I can be in here by taking the rent money. And they're trying to move the leverage of that I just don't have the money and that they have it and they spend it on their office expenses. And you don't you don't have the payroll secure that way. I'm just reporting it in this Godhead now. But you've been doing that elsewhere. Either if somebody is ordered to be someplace on a schedule or if they're there on a payroll and they receive payment. I can't be sure that the money is moving or it's not moving when I see somebody who is employed. The employment is a hostage,ing that there's somebody who either receives rent money, pays rent money, or they receive payroll, or they pay payroll, and it's not clear where the money is and why the employee might be there anyway on the schedule without having that they are really being paid payroll. So I can't be sure that I can pay the rent with this body, but it's been paying rent all this time. I've been watching it. But Charles Toe has been in here so that I have corruption of testimony as to the rent being paid for who. And that's how the rent money's been moving over Charles Toe, just over that he won't surrender this key, that I didn't pay it out to himself. And he firmly won't leave that I didn't pay him out the key. I can't. The police are involved at this time with the separation of Charles Toe and myself. And he just doesn't tell the police where he is unless he's just not going to leave, and the police don't make him leave, is illegal. The police are supposed to put Charles Toe in jail, in prison a long time ago for trespassing on the police call. So I don't have a solution to this landlord. Why am I not in a house? This sounds like a mess. Why am I not in a house? My house has trespassers in it. I have my mom and dad are still alive in my house until I went homeless in 2022, July 28th, somewhere between July 28th, 2022, and I don't know now, sometime in there, my dad is I'm missing. I don't know where he is. And now Charles Toe is missing as well. But I hear that somebody died, and I can't use the reporting that you think somebody died because you're not watching the payroll, you're not watching the money, you're not watching a live of the superior founder above myself. You're not the soul of the superior founder who's moving the leverage, and I am going to have a death on this body that is separate from the death of the rest of you. That's because you don't understand that when you embezzle money from the soul of the superior founder, myself, you are frauding myself. Deceased is not the same as the rest of you. I don't have a death with you. I just don't. And you think that I'm going to pay for that as well. You don't want to pay the charges for the food that I need. You don't want to pay for that I don't owe the charges. You don't want to pay for that I have a death at a different time as you because I didn't offer you a death because I am myself. You can ask me that and I would tell you that I'm not giving you a death because that would involve me, that I would have to kill you myself. If I don't kill you myself, like with my hands, that means like I'm already in a prison. I would have a gun, put a bullet in your head and be your coroner, and I would watch your body die and disappear, and then I would disappear at that point. If I killed one other person who's not myself, I disappear is the way that I know you died. That means I would not wake up from sleep myself, and that's how I know you died. I have no way to kill somebody who's not myself. I just can't. I can't even say that with myself because that's what a murder is. I wouldn't be able to report it because I wouldn't be alive myself to say that I killed somebody. So that's because I own my house, but you don't know whose house it is, and you want me to pay rent. You don't have a death that way. You just don't want to know that about yourself. You don't want to know that I know that about yourself. That's kind of what I'm saying on the camera, because you don't want to know that from me, that I know that about yourselves. Because you don't believe me until I'm not alive anymore. And I have to present myself in the afterlife and explain and expound upon that I died against yourself because I died alone. I was deceased. Deceased means that I died alone and independently from everybody around myself. I didn't have a life with you anyway. I am alive alone anyway. You're illegally aliving with illegal genitals is how you're alive. You have a penis genital or a penis castration female, and the penis is illegally alive after myself that is illegally claiming illegal formed property after myself. You're aliving with the property was illegal, but that's just me being here. I can alive illegal property. I cannot alive illegal genitals unless you alive yourselves illegally. You have some kind of debt having to do with this being world number 17 and Jesus Christ. You have a debt having to do with Jesus Christ. You're here because of Jesus Christ, not because of myself. And you don't hear that out of me personally in front of me. You don't stand in front of me and hear that from me because you don't believe me. You don't believe me. You start off with you don't believe me. You have illegal genitals. You're a conundrum the wrong way. You're not due to speak to me because your illegal genitals are not due to speak to each other. You have a penis. What do you want to do? You want to talk to somebody else with a penis and they get a penis erection and put it up in your anus. You don't even have a motive to speak to somebody else with a penis because of that problem. You're not gay is not true. If you're not speaking, you're not gay. If you're speaking over your penis, if you speak in English over your penis, you're gay because your penis is erect, and if you're talking to somebody else with a penis, all they have to do is take their clothes off and put their penis right in your anus, and you're gay. And it's your fault. You were speaking English to somebody else who speaks English, and you both have a penis, and you're both gay because you both speak English over your penis, and it's your problem. If you don't speak, you don't have that problem. What are you talking to me for? That won't help that you talk to a female. That means you're spent, that you put your past talking to a male, but he should have removed you and put you in jail, in prison, because he was angry that you're just like that. I need that was a male's problem. A male with a penis erection is a male's problem. That's a male fighting with a male, that you go to prison and you die because you don't stop talking in English. You do that in a prison. You fight with a gun. You don't become a heterosexual and fight with just any female anywhere at any time. You're illegally speaking with females with that problem. I'm the Godhead, and the way you treat me is approximately you're angry exactly with myself on the points that I just described, and I just find that you are. And you shouldn't be surprised that I say all these evil things about you, because you have done all those evil things to me before I ever said them about you. You do everything to and against myself that I've described in the videos, and there's nothing I can do about it. I find that you're in the wrong to myself, against myself. And I can't stop you. I would not. Am I the Godhead? Would not have a problem like this, and that's why you don't believe in me. You don't believe in me with your illegal genitals. You don't believe me when I tell you that.